Okay, so we will get started. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to day one of Global Student Success Forum. I'm Asim Sayed, Head of Teacher Development at Rosedale Global High School, and I'm honored to moderate today's panel, Redefining Student Achievement by Building a New Version of Transformative Teaching and Learning Under the Rise of AI. Teachers today are facing an overwhelming challenge. On one hand, they are expected to follow traditional education mandates and ensure their students perform well on standardized tests. On the other hand, these standards and test scores frequently fail to reflect the essential competencies students need to remain competitive in rapid evolving AI driven world. Conversations are happening at all levels about how to reshape education to better equip students for success in higher education, the workplace, and civic life. The pressure on educators is enormous, and the rise of AI is making it even more difficult to balance these demands. So, what we need now is a redefinition of student success, one that prioritizes system wide improvements based on students' needs. Today, our panelists bring unique perspective from various sectors of education, and I'm excited to hear their insights on how we can redefine student achievement through competency-based approaches in response to this new reality. It is my pleasure to introduce them. Please welcome Tina Hobbins, educational developer at University of Waterloo, Canada.
Hi, everyone. So as Asim mentioned, in my primary full-time role, I am an educational developer with the Work Learn Institute at the University of Waterloo. At the Work Learn Institute, we research and explore the role of work integrated learning, so experiences like co-op or internships in the development of talent. Our mission is to advance the practice of work integrated learning, not only at Waterloo, but also nationally and around the globe by sharing our research insights with educators and other interested stakeholders. So thanks for having me and for inviting me to speak. I'm very happy to be here today.
Thank you so much, Tina. Next, I have is Lucy Yan, head of school at Shuran International School, USA.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lucy. My Chinese name is Lu Xiayan. I'm working with IB schools more than 23 years. I have been taking the roles as IB literature and Mandarin teacher, also the examiner, workshop leader to train the teachers. Also, I'm the IB chair for the IB schools who want to authorize to IB. That by saying that, I am very familiar with IB missions and philosophy. That the IB missions is to educate the young people to become knowledgeable, also cross-cultural understanding global citizen who understand each other and to create a better and peaceful world. So that's the IB goal also is my goal, and very nice to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lucy. Next, I have is Tunade Olufolabi, principal at Maple Canadian College, Nigeria.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tinuade Olufalabi. I've been principal for very many schools before coming to Maple Canadian College, where we have the OSSD qualification at the end of 10 months. And it's really an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nadi. Next is Pam Turnbull, academic advisor at Rosedale Global High School, Canada.
Thank you very much, Asim. I'm thrilled to be here as well. My background is 40 years in OSSD education here in Ontario, and I spent the last 10 years working with Rosedale Academy as formerly the Director of Teaching and Learning. Had a lot of opportunity to share my expertise with the faculty, both at Rosedale and with teachers in our program around the world. So I'm excited to be able to share some of the learnings from that today.
That's great. Thank you so much, Pam. Once again, thank you all so much for being with us here today as we celebrate 10 years of global education at Rosedale Global High School. So let's begin by exploring the critical shift from traditional knowledge acquisition to competency development. In today's world, driven by the rise of artificial intelligence, automation, and disruptive technologies, it is no longer enough for students to simply memorize facts. So these technological advances are transforming industries and reshaping the demands of the workforce. So to thrive in such an environment, students must be equipped with the skills that enable them to think critically, adapt to constant change, and collaborate across diverse and global contexts. Tina, we will start with you. University of Waterloo is a top global leader in STEM innovation, and it was ranked number one as the most innovative university in Canada in 2022 by Maclean's. Can you please share your insights on what competencies are most essential for students today to prepare for the future, especially with the rise of AI and other emerging technologies across industries?
For sure. So at the University of Waterloo, we really wanted to explore how we might be more explicit in identifying the key skills or competencies that would help future proof our students. So we've thought about things like how does the concept of critical thinking change when a human must review AI generated content? How does communication change in our digital world? And how can AI help us to increase productivity? All of these kinds of questions and thoughts led us to develop a validated competency framework that we call our Future Ready Talent Framework, or the FRTF. It identifies 12 competencies that are absolutely critical for successfully navigating and thriving in a complex and rapidly changing future of work. Some of the 12 competencies that appear in the FRTF have always been critical for success in the workplace, so things like communication or collaboration. But at Waterloo, we look at those competencies in the context of the future of work. So, for example, what does effective communication look like when we need to do so across so many different digital channels, even more so now that we're managing the duality of a hybrid workplace? We also highlight a few competencies that not all of us may have, but that we're all going to need. And those include things like information and data literacy, so that ability to sort through, judge, and make meaning of the information overload in our day-to-day lives. Technological agility, the ability to learn how to work effectively in tandem with technology to advocate for its ethical but innovative use. And of course, we have lifelong learning. Lifelong learning is actually one of my favorites to chat about. There was a 2018 Future of Jobs report by the World Economic Forum that concluded we will all need to be lifelong learners. So what we mean by lifelong learning is making plans to achieve learning goals and seeking out new learning opportunities, whether formally or informally. We must be constantly upskilling and reskilling, and we'll need to know how these skills transfer or translate from one context to another as we navigate the future of work, possibly shifting careers frequently with careers on the rise, with contract work on the rise. So that said, we've identified a number of competencies essential for students to prepare for the future of work. I've only highlighted a few today, but there's many more, and I'm happy to provide resources to folks interested in learning more about the development of the Future Ready Talent Framework and how we use that framework at Waterloo. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tina, for your insight. Now let's explore how different curricula approach competency development. Lucy, from your perspective in IB curriculum, could you please share with us IB's approach to foster competency development, and how is IB's approach differ from traditional knowledge acquisition focused curriculums?
Thank you. So I would say there are many characteristics for IB, but I will highlight three. That is critical thinking, intercultural understanding, and inquiry based. So that's the three characters of IB. And what's the difference between IB and traditional education? Because I have been through the traditional education, but my students and my children, they all went through the IB education. I would say the main difference is critical thinking, because IB encouraged the students to encourage by themselves to have their own voice, choice, and also have their leadership in terms of learning. We always encourage students to ask questions and explore and do the research, and also have their conclusion by presentation or read essay, to have those skills to represent their ideas critically, also creatively. And it's very interesting that my school, we just had a workshop with our parents. And we did a research. I would like to share a little briefly to share about the result. The survey is what are your hopes for your children's educational achievements? So it's very interesting that the first one is problem solving and creative thinking. And the second one is resilience. And the third one is self-management. And fourth is communication. And sixth is global awareness and cross-cultural understanding. The last one is achieve good grade and the test scores. So that means IB always emphasize we are learning community that including teachers, students, staff, and also parents. Yeah. So thank you so much. That's my brief introduction.
That's great. Thank you, Lucy, for sharing competency development approach in IB system. The OSSD, Ontario Secondary School Diploma, is one of world's recognized and differentiated curriculum systems, ranked second internationally in high school programs by PISA 2022. So like the IB, the OSSD emphasizes competency development in its approach to education. Rosedale Global High School delivers OSSD curriculum-based transformative high school program in 17 countries. Pam, could you share with us Rosedale OSSD's transformative approach to learning and how the students' achievement assessment connected with the competency development?
Absolutely. Certainly, I'd like to outline what it is that Rosedale does in terms of our approach around competency development. We all know, as been mentioned already, that content knowledge alone isn't enough in today's world. Well, we all have access through our smartphones to all of the information that we can get instantly. So instead, our students need to have the skills to analyze, to evaluate, to problem solve, and apply that subject content. So at Rosedale, we focus on implementing the OSSD through 5 pillars. And those 5 pillars include, first, transformative competency development, real-world application and innovation, global citizenship education, differentiated instruction, and diverse evaluation, and finally through a personalized learning path. So we'll probably come back to some of those approaches a little later on. But the first pillar, as I mentioned, is a transformative approach to learning through competency development. Tina has mentioned those. Lucia has mentioned as well what happens in the IB program. The competencies that we focus on at Rosedale are critical thinking and problem solving, creativity, innovation, entrepreneurship, communication, and collaboration. The advantage that the OSSD program has in supporting student development of competencies really lies in our evaluation system, because students' grades are subject in any subject are calculated based on 70% is for coursework, 30% for a final exam. This is the opposite of most secondary programs. And because exams tend to be written responses, and it's very difficult to demonstrate skill development through a written response. In the OSC, the coursework is very diverse. Of course, it includes tests and essays, but much more than that, it's collaborative activities, it's presentations, case studies, real-world problem-solving projects, simulations, discussion forums. All of these create the development of competencies in our students.
That's great. Thank you so much, Pam. Lastly, let's look at how individual schools can support competency development at an organizational level. Tina Day, what strategies or best practices have principals found most successful in aligning school policies and cultures with the goals of developing student competencies? Sorry, you're mute.
Thank you very much, Asim. Thank you for that. I want to say that the very first thing is aligning the mission and the vision of the college to competency. Now, at Maple Canadian College, the motto is merit, consistency, creativity. And so aligning the mission and the vision of the school to what we want the students to achieve is key in all of this. Also, I will talk about curriculum design, and which I'm very happy Pam mentioned it. The curriculum design, the OSSD by Rosedale Global High School is extremely useful in ensuring that there is competency-based education. So mastery of skills rather than time spent in the classroom is extremely important because they can identify what they learn with what is real life. And that really helps them to be able to be confident in their knowledge and their skills. Also, the student-centered learning environment is pretty important because everything should be about the students. And so personalized learning, creating policies around this has helped to tailor whatever it is we want to do to the individual students' needs. So it helps the students to develop skills as they go along. Also, the collaborative leadership and shared responsibility is one of those things. Community engagement and partnerships plays a very important role also. Maple Canadian College is very, very keen on developing leadership skills in students as they go along with the 10 months. And also, we have school-wide practices and structures. We have flexible scheduling, we have block scheduling, all that to help the students to achieve their goals as they go along, and to ensure that they're ready for life after here, which is most important because they're coming from backgrounds that do not have anything to do with what they're going to encounter when they go outside. And so these 10 months are critical to them in developing strategies to develop competency in them. Thank you very much.
That's great. Thank you so much for your insight. Now let's switch our focus to exploring how we can empower schools through transformative teaching and learning. Empowering schools and teachers is essential for successfully shifting to competency-based education. So by providing educators with the tools, resources, and support they need, we can create learning environments that prioritize critical thinking, problem solving, and adaptability, which are the key competencies for success in the future. So to kick things off, let's start by looking at innovations at the university level. So Tina, could you share with us what innovative approaches in programming, teaching, and learning that University of Waterloo has taken to prepare students for the future? So are there any strategies from these innovations that the high school sector can learn from or leverage?
Sure. So one of the innovations I'd like to highlight here is what's called the Waterloo Experience Accelerate, or We Accelerate program. This program was created in 2021 in response to the pandemic. It is a skills training program that is offered to undergraduate co-op students who did not find a job for their first scheduled co-op work term. So the primary objective of the program is to therefore accelerate students from unemployment to meaningful employment in future co-op work terms by helping them cultivate in-demand skills. So there was a number of things we wanted students to gain from such a program. The first was career coaching to offer some extra support for career readiness prep and future job searching. So students engage with a career curriculum that's provided by the University Center for Career Development. The second thing is the development of skills that are in need by employers, many of which appear in that Future Ready Talent framework that I spoke about. But what this looks like in practice is industry partners such as Deloitte or Microsoft provide skill development on topics such as human-centered design or artificial intelligence. The last two things that we wanted students to gain from such a program were project experience and teamwork skills. We wanted to provide somewhere where students could apply the skills they've learned and actually do the work. So that real-world application piece that I think Pam spoke about. Can they design, adapt, and implement solutions? Can they identify the concrete steps necessary to complete projects within a deadline? And importantly, teamwork and collaboration are critical components of the project experience. So students work in teams to find solutions to industry-identified problems. Now, in terms of how this model could be leveraged by high schools, it could look like students beginning to explore their career paths. They can begin to understand those in-demand skills by employers and how industry views problems, how to effectively work in a team with a deliverable for a client, and so on and so forth. But I think leveraging the virtual nature of the We Accelerate program to expand access to experiential learning and work integrated learning for high school students is key. It's not going to make sense for everyone to complete a curricular co-op term at the high school level, but you could adapt the structure of a program like We Accelerate to fit in a single course slot, or even offer it as a co-curricular opportunity. Or perhaps there could be a version of the skills readiness program like We Accelerate that students could use towards their required volunteer hours. Lots of ideas here. So happy to chat through more of those, but thanks for the question.
That's amazing. Thank you, Tina. It's always fascinating to see how innovation at the university level can influence practices in high school education. So now let's turn to the IB system. IB is known for its rigorous standards and global reach. Lucy, how does the IB system empower IB schools worldwide in terms of curriculum development and instructional excellence?
Thank you, Asim. So let me give you a brief introduction about the framework of IB for all IB World Schools. There are 4 pillars for IB World Schools that are the purpose, environment, culture, and learning. These 4 pillars that comprehensive and places learning at the heart of an IB World School. So first, successfully integrate the IB philosophy within their school's unique context, and also shares purpose with the IB's mission that builds into a solid approach to education, develops a learning environment sustained by effective structures, organizational practices, and resources, and also foster a dynamic school culture centered on holistic, inclusive learning community. When we talk about learning, there are more standards for learning practices. So I'll give you an example for learning. So first, that is in ensuring effective education, and there are 4 categories for learning. First, designing a coherent curriculum. Second, students as lifelong learners. And third, approaches to teaching. And fourth, approaches to assessment. A little bit elaborate about the curriculum and also teacher collaboration meeting. So teachers collaborate to design, plan, and deliver the school's IB programs. Also, the school's plans and implements a coherent curriculum that organizes learning and teaching within and across the years of IB programs. As you know, there are 4 IB programs: PYP, MMP, DP, and CP. For lifelong learners, that students demonstrate and reflect on their continued development of the IB learner profile attributes. As you know, there are 10 IB learner profiles attributes, such as knowledgeable, risk taker, balanced, principled. Also, students actively develop thinking, research, communication, social, and self-management skills. These skills we called approach to learning, ATL skills. Also, students identify and foster healthy relationships and understanding of shared responsibility and the ability to collaborate effectively. Also, students grow in their ability to make informed, reasoned, ethical judgments. Students experience the flexibility, resilience, and confidence they need to bring about positive change in the worldwide community and beyond. About approach to teaching, we train the teachers. Thank you so much. I would like to talk more if you are interested.
That's great. Thank you so much, Lucy. So it's obvious that the guidance that the IB provides are crucial in maintaining high standards in schools across different contexts. Next, we move to Rosedale Global High School, which has an impressive 95 collaborative delivery partner schools in 17 countries. Pam, how can Rosedale implement competency development focused transformative teaching and learning with consistent high standards in such a large scale? How is it same or different with the IB system?
Thanks, Asim. You're right that maintaining consistent high standards in a large scale globally really is a challenge, and it requires a systematic approach. So we begin with training of all administrators at new partner schools so that they understand the approach, the focus of an OSSD program, the idea that we are focusing on competencies rather than just subject knowledge. For teachers, Rosedale provides a course portfolio on our learning management system that has all the instructional content and a teaching package that has key competency development opportunities that are really strategically woven in each lesson of instruction. Our classroom teachers don't have to create these opportunities themselves. This is really important. Each lesson has explicit learning goals that are based on the competencies students are developing. And the instructional strategies that teachers can use to ensure competency development are clearly outlined. And in addition, similar to what Tina talked about in terms of their enrichment program, there are dedicated modules that are focused on accelerated competency development that students and teachers can access. In addition, all the evaluation activities have been developed by Rosedale, and they're embedded with opportunities for students to demonstrate competency development. And these evaluation tasks are assessed centrally by Ontario certified teachers who ensure that students are meeting the high OSSD standards. So since lesson development and grading responsibilities are reduced for the classroom teacher, teachers in the Rosedale OSSD program actually have the time to focus on differentiated instruction, on competency development, on supporting student individual achievement. Many of these teachers come to our program with a teaching experience that required them to lecture and the students to memorize. So as a result, Rosedale provides mandatory teacher training that's practice-oriented, that's subject-specific, and we train teachers in the advanced instructional strategies that they're going to need for student competency development. And of course, this is followed up with ongoing teacher development workshops throughout the year. And hopefully all of this support provides the support both the teachers and students need for competency development.
That's really insightful, Pam. Thank you so much. Finally, let's hear from Maple Canadian College. Maple Canadian College is Rosedale OSSD co-delivery partner school in Nigeria. Chinade, could you share how the roles of teachers and students have evolved in competency-based learning? What are the benefits of focusing on competency development for students in such a learning environment?
Okay, thank you very much, Asim. I want to first of all share a little bit about throw light on what Pam said before now, where how the teachers come from backgrounds that are prone to memorization and the traditional type of teaching. And so I want to use myself as an example. I passed through the traditional type of teaching. And so I had a terrible math and geography teacher, or terrible maths and geography teachers. I was quite interested in those subjects, but my first impact was really very bad. And the problem of believing in me was a thing. I had to get to university before I found out that you could really do statistics, you're not so bad, but they made me look like I couldn't learn anything. And so the not believing in me didn't help me. So now the teachers here have been trained such that they believe in every student. And so they're willing to bend over backwards, to ensure that the students truly learn, because this if they do not learn, then they're going to be gravely affected when they go to university, and that's not a good thing. So the facilitator of learning is what a teacher is. And so the teacher is no longer the island of knowledge. The teacher is a facilitator of learning. The teacher is a designer of personalized learning experiences. The teacher is a data-driven mentor. The teacher is a feedback provider. Very, very important to provide feedback for students to learn and to stay away from mistakes. Then teachers are collaborators with students. Now, the evolving role of students is they're self-paced learners. They have to be self-paced. They have to learn at their own pace. They cannot afford to be pushed. When they learn, they have to learn according to how they can take in things. And then they're goal setters, and they must be planners, So these days, they're critical thinkers, they're problem solvers, and they must learn to be critical thinkers. And that's what the OSSD does, helps them to become better critical thinkers. And the benefits really are enormous: mastery over content, personalized learning, real world relevance, which is something that is not very common with Nigerian education. There's no relevance to real life. And so the students cannot really identify what they're saying. And so I believe that things have evolved, and I'm very happy that things are evolving and they're getting better and better. And we're producing more critical thinkers and more solution providers in our society. Thank you very much.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. So understanding both teachers and students adopt in competency-based environments really help highlight the importance of collaboration in the learning process. Thank you all for your insightful contributions so far. Now let's take a step back and look at how we can support holistic student growth. So addressing not only academic success, but also emotional, social, and physical development as a global citizen. With that keeping in mind, I would like to ask, how can schools and educators create an environment that supports holistic student growth as a global citizen? So let's start with you, Pam. Could you begin by sharing your thoughts on this, given Rosedale global reach and focus on comprehensive education?
Absolutely. I think this is something that all schools want to do and attempt to do with students. But the challenge is that unless you have a systematic approach that is built with a framework, then often the individual supports that students need with that holistic approach go by the wayside, because the pressure for the academics takes over. So again, I mentioned before the 5 pillars of a transformative learning approach. 2 of those included global citizenship education and personalized learning paths at Rosedale. So they're built within the framework of what it is that's important in that program. And when we talk about global citizenship education, we're talking about that being built not only in the curriculum, which very clearly there as well, but in co-curricular opportunities, in global mobility programs for students, in their opportunity to participate in international competitions, etc. And then in addition to that, there's a framework that is put in place that is called the Individual Growth Plan. And this is a student-centered practice that requires students to, first of all, set goals for themselves, determine a sort of a tracking and a management of those goals, and then to basically align all of those with their career and their university goals. So they have goal management, and of course, goal management is a really important skill development that they'll need to use lifelong.
That's great. Thank you so much, Pam. That was very informative. Now, Tenedu, from your experience at Maple Canadian College, how do you see schools supporting students in their overall development?
Thank you. First of all, I believe the overall goal will be to give academic support. First of all, schools must provide structured learning environments that foster critical thinking, problem solving, and subject knowledge essential for intellectual growth. I also believe that there should be social and emotional learning. Both of them must go together. There must be programs that focus on emotional intelligence, empathy, communication skills to help students manage emotions, build relationships, and make responsible decisions. Extracurricular activities play an important role. Participation in sports, art, music, clubs allows students to explore their interests, develop leadership skills, and build self-confidence. Physical well-being cannot be overlooked. Schools must encourage physical activity and healthy lifestyles through sports, through physical education, and access to healthy meals. We do that. It's a top priority in Maple Canadian College to provide this programs for students. Counseling, mentorship, you can access to guidance counselors, mental health support, and mentors help students navigate personal challenges and plan for their future goals. And then cultural and ethical awareness, encouraging respect for diversity, because students are going outside. They must be able to tolerate other people from other cultures. They will live with them, and we emphasize that in our school a whole lot to prepare them for what is ahead. So this all this come together to help to make a child ready for the outside world, and so helps them to be emotionally ready for what they're about to take on. They are going from Africa to another part of the world, where they're going to grapple with food, they're going to grapple with the weather, they're going to grapple with making new friends. And so they must be able to keep a balance between all these things to be a wholesome human being. Thank you very much.
Great insight. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, let's move on to the next question. Looking forward, what do you see as the most significant changes that need to happen in education to fully embrace holistic student development, and how can different stakeholders work together to achieve this? Lucy, let's hear from you first, especially from the IB system's perspective on stakeholders' collaboration.
Thank you. So the IB connects a worldwide community of learners who celebrate a common humanity and share a belief of that education can help to build a better and more peaceful world. So the foster international mindedness, the learning community extends to the whole IB community and views the world as the broadest context of learning. In that way, it is inclusive of everyone involved in the life of the school, students and their families, all school staff members, and other important adults in the students' lives. By stimulated learning within local and global communities, outcomes are considered from individual and collective perspectives, highlighting the interdependence of everyone and everything. So there are three together, the learning community. There are the three aspects. The first one is lives peacefully together. The second one is prioritize people and their relationships. And third one is assumes shared responsibility for learning, health, and well-being. So the learner profile, I emphasize again that IB learner profiles provides many opportunities to explore attributes that underpin those outcomes, supporting everyone to be principled, caring, and reflective community members. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Lucy. And finally, Tina, what are your thoughts on the most significant changes we need in education to support holistic development, especially from a university perspective?
Right. So, in some ways, I do think the Future Ready Talent Framework that I keep coming back to gives a nod to holistic skill development by incorporating competencies like self assessment, intercultural effectiveness, and lifelong learning. Which I know many of us have spoken about today, but it's certainly work focused. And so it isn't as comprehensive as you might imagine in terms of supporting holistic student development. So, that being said, I do think we need to think a little more broadly about the real opportunities that we're embedding in the curricular and co curricular experiences to develop the breadth of competencies from self management to lifelong learning. And if we realistically expect students to develop these competencies, we need to create and deliver dedicated learning opportunities to help students achieve them. Work integrated learning experiences like co-ops aren't the only way to do this, but authentic experiential learning is a very powerful way to do so. And a critical component of experiential learning is reflection. So I think students need to be taught how to critically reflect on their actions and experiences and have an eye to how they're impacting the global and local community. But they also need to be provided with opportunities to practice reflection. And this critical reflection piece is something we try to foster at the University of Waterloo in the form of what's called a major reflective report that's required as part of our professional development courses that co-op students complete. And the last thing that I want to add is that I believe we do need some more shift away from those traditional teaching and evaluation methods, which I know many of us have spoke about today. We need opportunities to include more hands-on experiential learning, authentic assessments are encouraged, and shifting some more evaluations away from traditional to more authentic experiences with higher proportions of marks counting towards that final grade for those authentic assessments may go a long way. The other piece that a lot of us have spoke about today is that we focus on that real world relevance or applicability piece. But that's not the only thing that makes up an authentic assessment. There was a systematic literature review in 2018 that shows that what makes assessments authentic in a classroom-based setting also includes what's called evaluative judgment. So how can we encourage students to engage in self-regulated learning so that they can effectively judge the quality of their own work according to set criteria? Detailed rubrics provided to students ahead of time and once the evaluation is complete with actionable feedback from not only the instructor, but also from peers can go a long way.
Great. I can't agree with you more. Thank you so much, Tina. As we come to an end of today's rich discussion, I would like to ask each of you to share a final thought on a key takeaway from our conversation. So based on today's discussion, what do you believe are the most important takeaways as we shift from traditional academic achievement to competency-based holistic student growth? Tina, let's start with you.
Sure. So I think lots of great ideas have been shared today. As educators and practitioners, I do think we need to be thinking about this idea that students need more than just a strong foundation in a core curriculum, which I know lots of us have spoke about today. So they also need to be supported to develop a compassionate understanding of the world around them, and then developing competencies like lifelong learning, self-management, all of which are highlighted in that FRTF may help achieve this. But it's not sufficient to prepare students with the skills they need to transition to employment after school. We must, across all levels of education, begin to prepare our students with the competencies they'll need to navigate a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous future. We need to prioritize the development of these competencies, make space for them in the curriculum, and assess them effectively. And again, if you look at this from a work integrated learning lens, we know that co-op isn't the perfect fit for everyone. There's many types of work integrated learning, 9 in total, that are defined or recognized by our national association in Canada that might be a better fit. And so this is why we're expanding what work integrated learning looks like at Waterloo, even at the course level, offering a full menu or bouquet of work integrated learning and experiential learning opportunities to our students. So I'm super happy to connect with the folks here and anyone else who's interested in learning more about these initiatives at any point. So thank you so much for having me today, and thanks for the wonderful discussion.
That's great. Thank you so much, Tina. Now, Lucy, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, same as Tina. I have today I learned a lot from all the experts' opinion, and also I'm very excited to learn that because everyone actually, even we are in a different system, but we all have the common terminologies or the same skills. Because I heard like problem solving, communication, creative, and also critical thinking, resilience. That's so that's the big takeaway for me. Same if even we are in a different system, but we all aim to educate the students to become like in your words is compensation. How do you say? Compensate based curriculum, and in IB word is international mindedness, and also the IB learner profile. Those skills, communication skills, and thinking skills, research skills. All this is very important. So thank you very much for having me. I'm very glad to join this, and I learned a lot. Thank you.
That's great. Great insights, Lucy. Thank you so much. Pam, what do you see as the key takeaway from today's discussion?
Well, I agree with Lucy and with Tina that definitely we're all working towards the same goals and we're all wanting the best for our students. I think the challenge for all of us is how we do it so that we support teachers, students, schools in this work. What is it that we can do in terms of developing the supports, the frameworks, the opportunities, and the training that all of the people who are involved in this need in order to make this happen? We can't just depend on classroom teachers to come up with this on their own. There needs to be a framework and a support system around them in order to make this happen. And again, we're all working towards the same goals. I think that education is definitely moving in the right direction globally. These conversations are happening all around the world. I'm thrilled that we've been able to be a part of that today.
Thank you so much, Pam. Lastly, Tunade, what's your perspective on this?
It's been quite an enriching experience. Every speaker today has inspired me, I must tell you, and it makes me know that we're on the right path. And I'm really, really very happy about that we've made the right decision and we're doing the right things to make that the world a better place. The students are the future. And so for me, there's so much bending over backwards that needs to be done to get them where they need to be and to help them to be strong, in the world that they are in. There's so many things competing for their attention, much more than when I was growing up. There's so much competing for their attention. And so there's easy distraction everywhere. And so we need to help them to keep in check while still encouraging them in the lane, in the path that they have chosen, and helping them to be the best that they could be, making them to be mentally fit, making them to be mentally ready for the world that they are going to take on. There's so much that needs to be done. I keep hearing international mindset. Lucy was the next person that told me today. We had a guest in the school earlier on, and he was speaking about international mindsets to the students. So that's a great takeaway for me today, and I'm really, really honored to be part of this discussion. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Tunade, and thank you everyone for such a rich and insightful discussion. Each of you brought valuable perspective, whether it was from university innovations at Waterloo to global curriculum approaches like the IB, or the transformative work happening at the high school level with Rosedale and Maple Canadian College. What stands out is the need for strong collaboration between educators, institutions, and students to create learning environments that go beyond memorization and focus on holistic student growth. Once again, I want to thank all our panelists for their thoughtful contributions, and of course, a big thank you to our audience for their participation and engagement. We really hope that you're leaving with new insights and inspiration to continue the journey towards transformative education. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.